Okay.
Right, good evening everybody, and thank you to Andy Collier for inviting me to come here this evening to speak to you about my cricket collection and collecting cricket armour generally. I've been at it a very long time, and this evening we're going to see some of the more visual and visually attractive items from my collection. We're going to start with postcards, well-trodden theme. There are tens of thousands of them out there, some inexpensive, some very expensive, and I'm just going to show one this evening that was taken at the Hove County Ground in 1912 for the Sussex v Australians match, and this image shows Robert Ralph and Joe Vine coming out to bat. So 1912, and Wiles is the publisher, and they were on the ground for county matches and touring team matches at this time. Very collectible but very hard to find. So going back in time, I brought this image that I've had enlarged, recently purchased, and it's meant to be a depiction of cricket at Maidstone in the 1780s. I've never seen it before, and it comes from a magazine cutting that I've had enlarged, and I've shown it to one or two experts on the 18th century and they don't know it. Right, we're now going to look at one or two press photographs, a particular interest of mine, and they are out there in reasonable numbers, reasonably inexpensive and probably undervalued. But you can find some super cricket images from all forms of the game on the press photograph, and if you get the caption on the back, so much the better, and make sure it stays on the back. A lot of them will tear off. You can start with a nice village cricket scene. This is one from the 1930s at the Bourne, which is near Farnham. Bicycles in the foreground, cricket match, and sort of topographical interest of that area near Farnham in July 1935, taken by a press photographer, possibly used in the Farnham Herald or local newspaper. My earliest press photograph is this one of the Sussex captain H.P. Chaplin coming out to bat at Trent Bridge in 1912. People remember Chaplin. He was still around after the Second World War, I believe driving taxis out of the Hove cricket ground. Most of these are going to have a bit of a Sussex interest. This is the Sussex team coming out of the old pavilion at Eastbourne. Even his successor has now been demolished, but Maurice Tate rolling up his sleeves, ready for business. A lovely 1930s view of the Sussex 11. And this one is of the Sussex boys, or two of the lads, at practice in April before the season started, 1935, taken by the Sussex Daily News photographer, and it shows Harry Parkes bowling and Jim Cornford in the background. May well have made the issue as a herald of the new cricket season in the Sussex Daily News. The Hove cricket ground has been used for many things apart from cricket, and this photograph, taken in 1937, shows Sussex versus Kent ladies playing stall ball, and it's Mr. Grantham, the umpire in the old smock coat, who repopularised stall ball for many years during the First World War and subsequently. Two Sussex stalwarts of a more recent date. This is 1956. Very recognisable Alan Oakman and Don Smith of Sussex, both of whom were being touted as England players that year. Alan Oakman made it, but Don Smith had to wait to the following year. and I'm pleased to say that Don Smith is still alive and well. He's 97, living in Australia, but sadly we lost Oki 2 or 3 years ago. Pre-war, John Langridge, famous Sussex opening batsman, record holder, and the well-known little wicket keeper Titch Cornford coming out to bat at Hove, Sussex Daily News. And this is Jim Parks Senior and Jim Langridge shaking hands, probably on their selection to go abroad on one of the MCC tours, taken behind the pavilion at Hove. And of more recent date is this photograph, press photograph by the Portsmouth and Sunderland newspapers, showing Ted Dexter coaching Terry Gunn. Now, Terry Gunn was a superbly gifted wicketkeeper, but he normally went in pretty low down the order, and I think they were trying to coach a bit more batting into him, and he may have had a longer career with the county. This one shows Johnny Barclay batting in the Eton v Harrow match. Johnny Barclay, very recognisable, very popular today at Arundel, coaching young cricketers on Cricket Society lunches and all sorts of things. And here he is being bowled at the last day of the Eton Harrow match at Lord's in 1971. Back to the Sussex theme, these are Sussex cricketers about to leave in the winter to go to India, courtesy of Ranji. They were young players, all trying to improve their cricket, and they are George Cox Jr., George Pearce, the butcher from Horsham, Dilip Singh, who was Sussex captain, Nebula Ranji, Greenwood, who later played for Northants, and Titch Cornford, and they're shown here at Victoria Station in 1931. Recently acquired view of Dilip Singh, soon after getting into the Sussex side. I just love his cable knit sweater, very unpretentious look, nice modest lad, destined for a super career cut short by ill health. And this one shows Dilip in 1930. He had already played for England, but in the first test match of the Ashes series he was 12th man. But he came onto the field because Sutcliffe had been injured, and here he is with the very avuncular looking Patsy Hendren, June the 20th 1930, Dilip and Hendren, taken by Central Press Photos. Now, we've mentioned John Langridge. He is a record holder for Sussex, both in total runs and total catches, and he has this reputation as having a very safe pair of hands, but not on the 20th of May 1938, when he's seen here dropping a catch off Buckingham of Warwickshire at Hove. One or two miscellaneous photographs. This one shows the England side out in Sri Lanka, formerly Ceylon, on its way to Australia. Probably a magazine photograph in a scrapbook, but the names are there, and some quite well known Stoddart and Gay and people like that in 1894-5. You might like to see Queen Victoria and the Prince of Wales on the back of this scrapbook. My most recent acquisition comes from eBay, and there are many collectors out there who relish in the photographs of E. Hawkins and Company of Brighton and their successor company or rival company Foster of Brighton. And this is a magazine supplement showing all the county captains for the 1913 season, all taken by Hawkins, and in some sort of Photoshop arrangement they appear to be at Hove, posing sweetly for the reader of the magazine. And there are these 16 of the county captains in very sharp photographic images, costing me exactly £2. I like window bills. This is not a photograph, this is an original printed window bill advertising a single wicket match on the old Brighton ground in 1827, involving the Broadbridge brothers and George Brown and Tom Marsden. There are references to the Hanover Arms, and it was a momentous year because in 1827 the 3 trial test matches took place between Sussex and England to test out the merits of round arm bowling compared to underarm bowling. Represents the march of progress in the development of cricket. Those 3 matches are the springboard for round arm bowling, then leading later to overarm bowling. Back to photographs, and we mentioned E. Hawkins and Company. This is the Sussex team photograph taken on the present county ground in 1886 on the occasion of the Australians match. The captain was Murray Lucas. He got 93 in the match, sadly passed away the following year as a young man. George Brown is in the photograph, he scored 93, and most of the players are very well known, and they include Freeman Thomas, who became the Viceroy of India after the Great War. The significant thing here is the wall behind the players has been photographed thousands of times in cricket team photographs, and reckoned to be perhaps the most photographed wall outside of Berlin, and it's lasted a lot longer. Going back to lithographs, this is the famous William Lillywhite, one of the originators or protagonists of round arm bowling, and this is not the normal Cobbett Anderson image. This is done by Casey and Murrellan, quite rare, a pirated lithograph. I have another one of Pilch in the same series, and there were 2 further ones offered for sale recently from Boundary Books.